Hi guys! So thanks to everybody who came for my last running clinic in Bukit Puchong. If you recall, we talked about cadence. Now cadence is something that we always read about or we always hear about when we read running magazines, and we talk to people about how to become a faster runner. Sometimes what we need to do is to increase our cadence. Now, before we can go into what cadence is, I talked about the different gait cycles of your run. So basically when you run, there are two phases. One is the stance phase, which is when your foot is in contact with the ground, and another one is the swing phase. This is when your foot is not in contact with the ground. So your one leg or the other will always be in the other phase. So let's say if your right leg is in its stance phase, your left leg will be undergoing the swing phase. Alright, so the swing phase is simple. Basically is when your foot toes off, that's the start of the swing phase, and all the way until the initial contact of the ground. So that's the swing phase. The interesting thing is the stance phase, whereby it starts off with, and there are four different elements to the stance phase. It starts off with, first and foremost, the initial contact, so the first touch on the ground, and this is where people always talk about whether you heel strike or you forefoot strike or you midfoot strike. Okay, so that's your initial contact. And then is the break/absorbance stage, and this is when the muscles in your body actually contract to make sure that you are breaking and make sure that you absorb as much of the impact through the joints, through the muscles into your body as possible. And then there is the propulsion stage, is whereby all the muscles in your body actually starts to react to push you upwards as well as forwards. That's the propulsion stage. And finally is the toe off stage, as that's when you leave the ground. So these are the four elements of the stance phase. Now, the reason why I'm just telling you all of this is because this whole stance phase is also your ground contact time. Alright? As a runner, if you have noticed how the Kenyans or the Africans run, they have very short ground contact time. The shorter the ground contact time, the better. Alright? That makes you a more efficient runner. That makes you less subjected to impact, the ground reaction impact. And it just makes you run a lot faster as well. Now, to be able to do that, so your cadence also has to be really fast. So it's all related. If your ground contact time is shorter, your cadence will also increase. Now, to know your cadence is actually very simple. It's as simple as counting your steps. So if you go for a short run, just take 60 seconds and count how many steps you take in that 60 seconds. The best way to do this, I feel, is on a treadmill, whereby the surface is flat and there's no other external forces, so you can count how many steps you take in 1 minute. That is your cadence. You should be counting just one foot, let's say just your right foot, and then you double that to become beats per minute, and that is your steps per minute, which is your cadence. So let's say if you manage to get 80 times your right foot touches the floor during that 1 minute, so that would mean that your cadence is about 160, double that. Okay, now ideally we want to see anything from 170 to all the way even up to 200, because the research has shown that the faster the runner, the higher their cadence is. Alright, so going back to just now when I said your ground contact time, the shorter it is, it also means the higher the cadence. Okay, so there are several ways that you can actually try to increase your cadence. So first step is, of course, to know what your cadence is. So like I said just now, if let's say you come up with the number 80 when you counted just one foot, double that is 160. If your cadence is 160 steps per minute, now we want to try and push that up to at least 170 steps per minute when you run. Okay, there are many ways. If you own one of the devices that actually have a metronome function, that's really good. So my watch actually has a metronome function. and I'll let you hear it. So I don't know if you can hear it, but this is set to 180 and it beeps every other beat. So that means I should only hear this beat on one leg. So say if I right leg, they should only come on the right leg. So this beeps as well as vibrates on my wrist, and so I can feel it as I run. Alright? If your watch doesn't have this function, that's fine. If you carry your phone to run, you can always download an app called the Metronome app. There are many out there. So an app called the Metronome app, the one that I downloaded, looks something like this. And again, you can adjust the beats. So if I were to do 160 beats per minute, this is how it sounds like. Alright, now compare that to say 170 beats per minute. You can't really tell the difference, but when you run over 40 kilometers, it really makes a difference. Compare that to 180 beats per minute. Now that is quite a lot faster than 160 beats per minute. So whatever app you choose, as long as it's called a metronome, M-E-T-R-O-N-O-M-E, is the same app that they use for people who play the piano. It's just to get the beat. So for myself, I run generally around 175 to 180 steps per minute. So that is my cadence for a race event, for a race pace. Okay? Of course, when you are running a casual, easy run, your cadence will be slightly lower because you won't run as fast. Your swing phase will also not be as fast. But when you go for a race event, then you want to be able to achieve this sort of cadence. Alright, so if the beeps get a little bit boring and you're somebody who likes music, the best thing you can do is to either download, or if you're like me and I listen to a lot of Spotify has a running series and you can choose the beats per minute over there. Just choose songs that are 170 beats per minute or 175 beats per minute and work your way following the beat of the music. It's a lot easier to just count one leg rather than two legs. So you can count either your right leg or your left leg, and you want something that is easy for you to hear the beat. Alright, a lot of dance music, EDM and these kind of songs, the beat is very obvious, so those songs would be really helpful. Alright, so basically if you are trying to improve your cadence, don't do it too drastically. The key is to get yourself used to it. So first of all, if you're working on your cadence, the first thing you need to do is actually not go for your usual 10K or 20K run working on your cadence. What you can do is you can just put in a short segment, say 10 minutes, whereby you run according to a cadence that is a bit higher. The rule of thumb is every time you want to increase your cadence in training, you shouldn't increase anything more than 5%. So you work on increasing just 5% higher, and then once you're able to do that for a good distance, and then you increase it again another 5%, and then you work on that. It should not be too fast too soon, because what you're going to do is you're going to end up with a lot of muscle instabilities, a lot of ways that your foot has not gotten accustomed to, the muscles around your leg has not gotten accustomed to it. Okay, so like everything else, if you want to change even the way you step on the floor, your cadence is also something that you need to change gradually. Okay, so that's what we talked about last week. I hope that is helpful for you. Thank you so much for watching this video. Do join us in the next one this weekend. We'll be doing something even more exciting. Alright, see you then. Bye.